I did this one story about Black people living their best life in Norway of all countries. And I asked them, and I asked them if they would ever, become a full citizen. They're allowed to be a resident, and even as a resident, partake in all the benefits of being a citizen there. And they said they would never give up that navy blue passport they see as a person of color in particular too. Identifying around the world as a Black American has so much weight and value, and it's almost a little bit of a safety blanket. That was pre-pandemic and also a different administration, and we saw how that administration ran things too.
Welcome to Come Back with Erica Cobb, a community of folks like yourselves who are getting ready and staying ready for their next chapter. And I know for like all of us, it's a comeback to travel. So my guest today is our television it woman on travel experiences and the environment. You've seen her on Dr. Oz, The Weather Channel, CNN, Today Show, and more. So please welcome national correspondent Dayvee Sutton. Welcome to Come Back with Erica Cobb.
Erica, I want to talk about when you talked about how easy it was for us to travel before. What the pandemic was glaring to me as a travel and was the value of our navy blue passport. And I've done stories on this before. We had the most liberal and freeing passport in the entire world. And when borders started to close, and Europe, for the most part, is still closed to Americans, which has not happened. Australia is like, we got to handle, nobody's coming in. That is a glaring, and I think we see some of the backlash of people, with the COVID passport, the vaccine passport discussion. And we could, if you want to dig into that, we could talk about that too. Yeah. But other countries, people from other countries always have to ask permission before they travel. And there are people from other countries who aren't allowed to come to other countries. They have to do extensive visas. They have to be on waiting lists. And that's the position that we are finding ourselves in with our very valuable navy blue passport. In fact, I've done stories with expatriates in other countries who, I did this one story about Black people living their best life in Norway of all countries. And I asked them, if they would ever, become a full citizen. They're allowed to be a resident, and even as a resident, partake in all the benefits of being a citizen there. And they said they would never give up that navy blue passport they see as a person of color in particular too. Identifying around the world as a Black American has so much weight and value, and it's almost a little bit of a safety blanket. That was pre-pandemic and also a different administration, and we saw how that administration ran things too. So that has also significantly changed, and it's going to be interesting to see the after effects as we ease out of the pandemic for international travel beyond kind of our neighbors below, it's the Caribbean and Mexico.
That, I had never considered the passport discussion. And I automatically started thinking, I took a trip to Turks and Caicos. This was like 6 years ago. And out of 10 of us traveling, there were 6 different passports. So we're in all from like different countries. And we were having this conversation, and it was very much like, it was probably in hindsight kind of a jingoistic conversation, but about how we were traveling, where we were traveling, and what passport was being used. And like me being one of the only Americans, it is very true that it's a very coveted passport, but it also depended on like where you were going. Was it a Commonwealth country? All these other things. So now thinking about how we have created this stigma in our country based on a lot of things, the administration, how this was handled, the fact that we have more deaths from COVID-19 than any other country, that is going to be an interesting thing to see how we're received and how our passports are viewed from this point forward. Our tourism dollars were so valuable to the world. And so I know the impact that,
when those news headlines were happening about this country saying, no, Americans can't come. It took a lot for those countries' governments to shut their doors to us. And I, as understanding like the depth of what that really meant, was like, this is a big deal, even though I know most Americans really didn't realize that, because it's so easy for us to travel. So that's a part of when we start, if you having this information, when we start looking at some of the backlash of like, I don't want people to tell me what to do. I should be able to go anywhere I want to go, is a very, very American thing, because most of the rest of the world cannot travel like that. They cannot, like they have to ask permission. The visas take forever. I remember there are countries where I have to get visas to, and if it takes a long time, I'm just like, I remember just being like, oh my goodness, I have to apply to come to this country in the Middle East 30 days in advance. I can't plan 30 days in advance. I just want to go. Brazil, there was a benefit of the previous administration, because the Brazil leader and our leader were very much aligned. And because of that, Americans have a lower visa rate, and I think you could just go. It used to be one of the most expensive visas, which I paid for. So it's one of those things I was like, man, I paid for that visa. But now Americans can go more freely to Brazil. So there were some benefits in the travel world for that previous administration. But overall, there were a lot of things that happened that I'm interested in to see the long lasting effects. Like, when are we going to be able to go to Italy, or France is closing again? So are we ever going to be able to go without, I mean, there are some exceptions, because I know some people who have gone, but not for vacation. They're going because they're moving, or they're going to have a long-term stay, or they have, their partner might be there.
Yeah. I mean, for me, my husband is from Canada, and we haven't been able to get back to Canada since, well over a year. So, and that's upstairs. So, it really does show you just how restricted. My in-laws can't even go down the street and into their family's house. It's so restricted. So I think that as Americans, we really do have a very skewed view, because, from state to state, it's very different. Some people act like, it never existed. And then other states are very much like buttoned up and, following regulations, and they're shut down, and it is what it is. So, there's just this conversation, girl, I feel like you're about to be on a complete marathon if you're not already.
I really do believe travel is part of being human. And it's a gift that I hope that everybody can participate in. It's the best education you can get, and it's the thing that grounds us most as humans, because when you travel, I always say that it's hard for racism to exist for the traveler. It's a little remix on something that Mark Twain said, but it's true, because if you go somewhere else and you sit in a coffee shop and just watch the goings on of peopling, you will see a man rushing to get to work because he's going to provide for his family. And you'll see maybe a mom fussing with the kid because she has to figure out how to feed the fussy kid. And that happens everywhere around the world. You can follow me on all my social media at Dayvee Sutton, DayveeSutton. And I started during the pandemic a new YouTube channel where some of the stories that I do for TV, I show some of the behind the scenes stuff, or some of the extra bits that never made it to some of my segments and stories for some of the shows that I posted. They're like storytelling films. So I'd love people to it's very brand new. So I'd love people to go check that out if you're looking for that kind of stuff. And then I host a couple of different shows and stuff. So the best way to kind of see what I'm up to when I post it is on social media.
Girlfriend, sis, I appreciate you so much. Dayvee Sutton, thank you for coming back with us on Come Back with Erica Cobb. I know that there is a big travel weekend historically coming up, so I know a lot of these things are information that you need to protect yourself, to protect your family, and of course to get the best experience. So hear more from Dayvee on the full podcast on my online home, comeback.tv. on this end. Alrighty. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome to Come Back with Erica Cobb, a community of folks like yourselves who are getting ready and staying ready for their next chapter. And I know for like all of us, it's a comeback to travel. So my guest today is our television it woman on travel experiences and the environment. You've seen her on Dr. Oz, The Weather Channel, CNN, Today Show, and more. So please welcome national correspondent Dayvee Sutton. Welcome to Come Back with Erica Cobb.
Hi, nice to see you again. You're looking good, sis.
You're looking good, sis. You're in your yellow. It's giving me major travel vibes.
I think I'm trying to put that out there in the universe, like it's gonna happen soon. The sun's out. We're in spring. We're all ready to go.
This is amazing. I know that travel is your thing. So the past year plus has been an absolute chaos. So with millions of Americans getting vaccinated and showing us their cards, girl, because every card is on Instagram at this point, okay? We're starting to see a major comeback to travel. So I'm wondering if the comeback is going to shake up the industry as much as the setback season did. So let's talk about what you coined revenge travel.